Hello, Channel Automation podcast listeners. Welcome back to another deep dive into the techniques that convert leads. I'm your host, Casey Arias, and I'm joined today by Sarah Nelson of Expo Home. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm super excited to talk with you today, so I'm ready to go.
Yay! I love the enthusiasm. That's great. So let's just start off. I don't think we've had you on this podcast before, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and Expo Home.
Absolutely. My name is Sarah Nelson. I'm the digital marketing specialist at Expo Home Improvement. I've been here 2 years and it's been great. So a little bit more about Expo Home Improvement. We are a home improvement company based in Texas. We service North Texas, Central, and South, and we've been in business since 2006. So we really pride ourselves on providing quality bathroom and window replacement services to Texas, and we've had more than 24,000 customers. So we're really excited to keep growing, and 2024 is going to be a great year for us.
I think the same thing. I got a good feeling about 2024. I don't really have a reason to think that other than, you got to just be positive, right? So very cool. You've been around quite a while. At least Expo Home has been around quite a while. And so because you have expertise in marketing, one of the things I wanted to kind of review with you is how does automation kind of like play into marketing? And do you notice any kind of emerging trends that you find particularly exciting or impactful?
That's a great question. Absolutely. So I'm really passionate about marketing automation in the digital marketing space. And I love seeing how that aspect intermeshes with the home improvement space. So there's a bunch of really cool things that I think are going to emerge in the next 5 to 10 years in the digital marketing space and marketing automation world that I'm really excited about. With channel automation, we're doing a lot of cool marketing automation features, especially in email and text. That was previously a channel that we weren't utilizing super well. And now that we've implemented it, there's a lot of opportunity for lead nurturing flows. We have some things when people cancel appointments. So there's a bunch of really cool opportunity in marketing automation and in the digital marketing space. So I'm really excited, and it's something I'm super passionate about.
Yeah. Well, we are too. I don't know if you would have guessed that, but just kidding. So you were talking about 5 to 10 years from now and starting up new text and marketing campaigns. So would you think that because you're going to be getting a new crew of audience, coming up into the next part. So right now, homeowners or people that are looking to get their home done might be on the older side, but millennials are starting to get up there, they're going to be the next group. And so I'm wondering if 5 to 10 years from now, do you think that text messaging and other forms of communication is going to overtake contacting them on phone calls?
You raise a really interesting point, because right now, we do definitely have an older audience, and sometimes they really prefer that personal connection. I think all generations do. But then we have a younger generation, and, studies are showing that they're not picking up the phone as much. I mean, when I get a call from a number I don't recognize, usually I'm not going to answer it. Not saying that's the same for everybody, but it's just an emerging trend that I think businesses need to be aware of and be able to adapt to, because the standards are changing, and businesses have to be prepared and ready to adapt. So to your question of, do I think that texting and chatbots are going to eventually replace maybe appointments being answered on the phone? Short answer, no. I don't think it's going to totally replace the ability to talk on the phone with a person and schedule an appointment. I think that I view it kind of like a grid. You have all of these different channels: texting, maybe chat bots, email, phone, and then you have your customers, and each different person has their own preference of how they want to be communicated with. So as a business, you're trying to provide value for your customers. You need to be strategic and know what communication channel is going to be the best for your customers. So maybe for some people, it's over the phone and they want to talk to a person and they want to have that personal connection. But then maybe for the next person, They want short, fast, they want convenient, simple over text or over chatbot or with AI. So it's really exciting. It's complicated, and there's not like a simple, easy answer. But I think that's where the world of marketing automation and communicating over different channels is headed.
Yeah, and we're very big proponents of, communicate with your audience how they want to be communicated with is kind of the thing that we keep repeating over and over and over again. And I think that there's a lot more factors that go into that. I don't think that there's just a blanket answer. And one of those things is if you are going to be purchasing potentially a large project, like for home improvement, that's like thousands of dollars. Do you want to book an appointment like that just because it's easy to book an appointment like that? That doesn't mean that you feel that comfort of, okay, I know my $1,000 or several $1,000s is going to be going to the right place without talking to a live person. To me, that would be nerve-wracking, but maybe it won't be to other people coming up. What do you think?
Yeah, that's a great question, because definitely in the home improvement space, when we're coming into people's homes, and this is, a personal space, and, people are spending, they're making a good investment into this project. So trust is such an important factor for us. And we're always trying to show our reviews, showing our people that we're a legitimate company, and that when you go with Expo Home Improvement, you're going to be taken care of well. And that same factor extends to how we communicate and how we set appointments. So that's a great point, that how do you show credibility over a channel like text where it's a little bit more fast. So, things like video, showing a human talking to you helps to provide some credibility in that channel, and links and galleries and things that provide credibility can help aid that trust portion of maybe something like text or chatbots where, maybe that might get lost.
Yeah, I can feel that. And honestly, if a chatbot even makes like one or two mistakes and I catch on, it's a little bit hard to recover from that. It's like, okay, I'm already getting annoyed because you're not answering my questions. So I'm really glad that chatbots are getting better. I notice a huge difference in chatbots. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, until it's perfect, you don't want to make that your primary automation. And that was something that I was actually talking about as a recent subject, where it's like 100% automation. Is that possible? And I would say right now, I would personally say, no, it's not possible if you're trying to establish trust and have good quality of leads. But maybe 5 to 10 years down the road, it's going to be one of those things where I can't tell the difference between a person and AI. And now I feel fine with it. It's so wild, the world right now.
So I think that's an excellent question you bring up. Can something be 100% automated? I view automation as something that can enhance and make an experience better. So just because you can automate something doesn't necessarily mean that you should. It should be something that provides value to the customer and doesn't take away. So, that's my view on automation. I think it should be helpful to the experience and shouldn't take away from that.
I love that. That's so nicely said, very concise. It's like one of those things where it's like you can say the long form of it, but that really is what it boils down to. And when we're talking about the internals, because you're talking about like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. When you're setting up these automated platforms, how is it affecting your internal team? Because I know a lot of the time, marketing and then sales and then call center, they're all kind of on their own little islands. And so when you are implementing something new like this, how does it affect the other teams that may not be directly involved with sending out like text and video automation? Like, do they notice a difference? Does it affect them at all? Does it make their life easier? What are you seeing for that?
I mean, the goal is that it should definitely make their lives easier. So the goal is that the agents aren't, doing all of this, manual labor that's losing efficiency. It should give the agents freedom, that they can focus instead of like trying to juggle a million tasks at once and trying to juggle all these communications. The goal is that automation should enhance the experience and give the agent creativity or freedom and creativity to, think about how to provide the most value to the customer, really think through their answers and give them more freedom to connect with the customer rather than, focusing on other things that takes away from what's important. So I think that's how it definitely affects our agents. For our sales team, we haven't implemented anything with them yet, but that's something that we're definitely looking towards. But I mean, the same thing with them. The goal is that it should make their lives easier. And it shouldn't detract away from their jobs. It should, enhance the experience and make their lives easier.
One of the only reason that I ask about the sales team is because traditionally the sales team is the one that is going into the home. And that's usually in the past where people are going to be seeing videos or slideshows and all those visuals that they're looking for in order to close the lead. And we've actually gotten the comment before from our clients that they're like, well, I'm worried about, the call center showing all of those things up front, and it's going to detract from the value of the salesperson showing it to them at the time. If I was a customer, I think having it from the very beginning would be really cool. But what's your thoughts on that? Because I kind of been wondering, is that something that could negatively affect a salesperson where it's like, oh yeah, you already showed me that video. Like, is that a bad thing? Or I think it's good personally. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know if I have an exact answer for that, but I do think that, different companies based on their strategy and what they want to do, they can do it differently. But personally, I lean towards, I think it enhances the experience. I really like showing videos and showing exciting things to the customer early on so that it gets their mind excited. It gets them inspired and, they're imagining themselves with this new project in their home and the value that it's going to bring. So that when the salesperson is in the home, they're excited and they can already envision this thing in their lives. So that's what I lean towards personally, but each company is going to have a different tactic and it's up to them to make a decision based on data. I love making decisions based on data. But it's ultimately up to the different companies.
Yeah. And I think that audience also is a factor in there as well, because some audience, they're going to want to really, really, really feel like, okay, I know exactly what this person is going to show me and I can mentally prepare myself to start thinking about potentially doing this for real, starting this project for real. And I was wondering, like, when you are sitting on the back end and you're not talking to these guys in person, how do you segment your audience? Like, how can you decide what information is going to who? Is there a different strategy depending on type of project or type of demographic? Like, how do you do that?
That's a great question. Segmentation is obviously such a huge component of digital marketing because it allows you to personalize your content based on the customer. So a different customer is going to get a different piece of content, based on different factors, and that personalization allows to provide that personal touch, things that's going to be actually relevant to the customer, makes them feel seen and heard. And so segmentation is obviously a very important part of digital marketing. As far as segmentation goes and how you segment, the sky's the limit. It's just whatever benefits your company. But, we do segment by product. You can do it by location, where a lead is coming from. Are they converting on a website, or maybe they saw an ad on TikTok or something like that? And you just have to be strategic and think about what's going to be the best message for this person at this stage in their buying journey. So that's kind of how you get the wheels turning on how you're going to segment your audiences.
That's a very good point. And I was thinking about also, because I hear a lot where some people will be like, oh my gosh, I get so many leads from Facebook. Like I have to constantly have my paid Facebook ads running. And then I hear other people were like, yeah, it's a bunch of noise. Like, I'm getting things in, but nothing is going to be converting. And you mentioned TikTok, where I have been told by many home improvement companies, because I've mentioned it before as well. I'm like, yeah, let's set up your social media. We'll do Facebook, we'll do Instagram, we'll do Google Plus, Twitter, TikTok. And they're like, is there anybody even looking to do a home project on some of those platforms? And so I'm wondering, like, What kind of success do you see with conversion from social media? Is there something there? Is it worth doing?
We haven't started on TikTok yet, running ads, but I think social media is really exciting and something that maybe isn't being utilized in the home improvement industry as much as it could be. I think you asked, are there people on TikTok looking to renovate their home? I think absolutely. TikTok is becoming a search engine in and of itself. You know, when I'm looking for fun things to do in Dallas on the weekend, you know, you used to look on Google, but, you know, myself, I'm looking on TikTok. And I think people who are interested in remodeling their home, they may go on TikTok first to find inspiration, to find, you know, who's a reputable installer in my area. So I think that social media and doing things on TikTok and showing videos is something that can really be leveraged well in the home improvement industry. I think it's a place to generate leads, and two, it's a great place for brand awareness. And I think sometimes people aren't investing in social media because sometimes you don't see the leads immediately. And so people think, we're not getting leads immediately, let's just not do it. But what you're not realizing is that you're generating a bunch of brand awareness for your company in the form of people are seeing that you're a real company, that you're real people. With with the home improvement space, you know, you're going into someone's home and you're making this big renovation. They want to see that they can trust you and that you're going to do a good job and that you're, you know, part of the community and that you're real people. You can also see do testimonials and before and afters on social media that people can see, you know, realistically, what is this product going to look like? So I think social media is really exciting in general, but especially for the home improvement industry.
And something that I was just thinking about as you were saying it and breaking it down, I never go on social media with the idea that I'm going to buy something. However, once I am there hanging out, doing my own thing, looking at videos that are being shown to me, I might see something where I'm like, oh man, I wasn't thinking about taking a vacation over here, but that looks really cool. And I think that could be something for a draw for social media as well, especially if you just got this little call to action in the corner. It's like, oh my gosh, dude, do you remember like when we were in the kitchen the other day, honey, and we were like looking at our cabinets and we were just thinking that, yeah, those really need to be worked on. Look at how they're doing it here. Like they actually are able to take our, like this part of our cabinets and it looks like it's going to be something that we can afford. And, you know, just like you said, people don't really want to follow companies. They want to follow people so they can see that you're a real person posting these things. And it's like, oh yeah, look at their team is on this one, and this one. So these must be the guys that we're going to be working with. I do kind of want to break it down though. Like, I feel like social media is a really good way to generate organic, but like, do paid ads make a difference? Does it actually put the right audience watching your video? Because I'm not 100% sure what I'm looking at there. I'm like, it seems like it's getting a lot of views, but I'm not really confident that the targeting is correct, except maybe on Facebook or Nextdoor. They seem to do a pretty good job of targeting specifically because they're more ad-based. What are your thoughts on that?
I definitely believe in the value of paid advertising on social, definitely. But like you said, it can be by platform. Some platforms may be able to reach your demographic better than others. It also, depends on the person creating the ads. You want to make sure that you're hitting the right audience and that you're hitting qualified leads. So it definitely depends on the platform for sure. But I do believe in the value of paid advertising on social media. But I do think that there's a place for paid and there's a place for organic. I think some businesses go and create organic content, but they create it like an ad. I believe that organic content needs to be value first. So value either in the form of educating your audience, educating them about the home improvement industry and what's going to happen when I remodel my bathroom. So education and then entertainment. I think that's something that some businesses don't quite understand, is that when people go onto TikTok and Instagram, they're using it as an entertainment platform. So I think you don't have to be afraid to have fun, and just because you're not, creating a piece of content that's directly related to sell, buy, that it's not important, but you can have an impactful brand awareness piece of organic that's entertaining and fun. So
I think as long as it's loosely related to your business, I almost would say education comes before having a call to action that is explicitly for your business when you're talking about social media, just because it keeps people watching. And I really do like how all of the statistics are broken down on social media, where it's like, this is how long somebody sat and watched your video. This is how many people have viewed it. This is how many people liked it and shared it. You can use all of those tools to your advantage and get analytics that maybe you didn't have before when you were pre-social media. So what also kind of advice would you give somebody who is trying to expand their knowledge as like a digital marketing specialist and do something that is going to enhance and nurture their leads while also keeping relevant with the times?
I think that because marketing is such an evolving industry, it's forever changing, it's forever growing. It feels like it's getting faster than ever with AI and all these different advancements. So I think one key point is to stay involved in the industry and stay up to date with different advancements, because if you just stick with one thing, you're going to get left behind. So I always think it's important for marketers to follow podcasts and blogs and different email newsletters so that they're staying in the know and they're staying on top of the industry. Another point is just really figure out your segmentation and use data to drive your decisions. So I think it's always smart to find what your KPI is going to be before you launch a campaign. You don't want to launch a campaign without figuring out how you're going to track the success of it, because once you run that campaign, you want to grab the insights from that to use in the future. And I think that's some things that that might get missed in marketing. So one, stay in the industry, stay in the know, and two, use your data analytics to drive better decisions in the future.
That is such a good point. I think people just get really excited to put campaigns out, or they're just like, okay, it has to constantly be rolling. I just finished this one goes out this week. Here's a content calendar, this one goes out this week. And yeah, checking KPIs and reviewing data is always something that people tend to do second rather than first. And I think having that extra planning is contingent on extra success. But how do you even get to the point of where you feel comfortable having that little calm before the storm, I guess you can say, where it's like, okay, I have scheduled time where I'm going to be reviewing my data, and I don't have to put something out right away. This is going to go out a little bit later so we have a chance to look at this. I feel like organizing schedules, especially when you're bringing in like executives, can be really challenging.
Yeah. As a marketer, I have to stay organized. It's just how I live my life, because, things are moving so fast and things can be a little chaotic. So, I always take the time to be organized and time block, and using strategies like that to make sure that there is like a calm before the storm, and you have a second to sit down, plan, think things through, organize, and figure out, what do I want to measure in this campaign? What do I want to be a success? So just taking time to implement certain organizational strategies in your life. And there's some really great YouTubers out there that have really great some tips on organization. So I'm a nerd about organization. So I think that's how.
Oh, I assume.
Love her as well. Yes. Using things like that really helps you to stay prepared and organized when things can tend to get a little chaotic.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit tough to be organized and then also keeping up with the results of your campaign and making sure that there is a targeted goal for each campaign. And I think that that's actually something that I would like to expand on a little bit, because most people think that the targeted goal of marketing is make a sale from marketing, right? So every single campaign you put out, that campaign needs to equal more leads, more sales. But you're talking about like, what are we targeting this time? Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so that's a great point. I do think that sometimes people believe that, X marketing campaign needs to produce X amount of leads. And there are some campaigns where it doesn't work like that, where you're doing a campaign for brand awareness, or maybe someone sees you on TV, or an organic campaign. The good thing is that we do have analytics for some of those things. So on social especially, you can see the amount of video views, and trying to think of when you're developing your metrics and KPIs for a campaign, using things like that, that may be a more accurate metric for something like a brand awareness campaign. So comments on a post, engagement, video views, likes, shares, those can all be great brand awareness metrics on like social media. And some things that, to the dismay of marketers, you can't track 100%, but they're still important. So, getting your name out there, maybe on TV or campaigns like that, are still important for getting that brand awareness, even though you may not be able to tie it to a lead 100%.
Yeah, some of it is, and this is something that I actually talked about with Vic on the last podcast. It's one of those things where you want to be making decisions based on facts, not feelings, but there is some nuances when you're trying to talk about like brand awareness. It's really hard to be like, okay, our brand awareness has increased by 20. Like, that's not a thing. However, like you said, being able to see engagement is a really good way to, if you're going to measure something, measure it using that. I think that's a good way of saying it. And I don't think there's also a right answer for it. It's just sort of like we're going with our gut on that. But I've been asking this to the last few people who are like marketing experts. Are you a content calendar fan?
Yes, I am. But there's two parts to that. So yes, I love a content calendar. I love to stay ahead, and it, back to organization, helps you stay organized. It also helps getting the timing of the post, and then also seeing your content in a place visually is good to see that everything's cohesive brand-wise. The caveat to that is there are certain things that you can't plan for that are going to be great moments to post on social media. So TikTok trends, for example, I cannot predict what the next TikTok trend is going to be. So I can't budget that or plan that in our content calendar. That's where it comes back to staying in the know in the industry, staying on top of the industry, and then having some wiggle room in your calendar to fit moments like that in. So it's a mix of planning, but also being ready to be agile and jump in on a trend when it's applicable.
Yeah, I agree. And trending is so important, especially when it comes to being able to put yourself in the group of people that are going to be getting high views. You don't want to do the trend exactly. You want to put your own spin on it that makes sense. Otherwise, it's pretty much a wasted effort, because you become the person who's like cringy. And you're like, I don't want to watch that company's stuff. They don't know, they don't get the vibe that we're going for. And that's definitely targeted towards millennials and lower. And we were hoping, meaning like the marketing teams that are more of the millennial age, that our group of people are going to be more involved in the home improvement industry within the next 20 years, it's getting a little tough, but I think that having that kind of content at least is going to be like, okay, well, if there's going to be a smaller amount of people engaging in home improvement, at least that smaller amount of people will like us, because we obviously know how to speak to them. I think that's like the main goal. Is there anything you want to put put in before we wrap up today? Like any last words to somebody who's like, I'm struggling and I really could use help with marketing?
Absolutely. I think one key takeaway from this podcast, and for new marketers or marketers looking for advice, is simplicity. I think as marketers, sometimes we lean towards, we want to have the most elaborate and intricate campaigns, and we want this and that and giant long paragraphs of things. But I think it's important to simplify and make it's better to have a simple campaign that is airtight and is quality than trying to, have all these different variables and this really elaborate system that could be hard to track, is maybe not the best for your customer. So I think that's one area of simplicity. And then also simplicity in your messaging, especially text and SMS. Sometimes you can lean towards, I want to send this long paragraph of text to a customer because I'm the company and I need to tell them why why we're so great. You have to step back and be simple and be human and be conversational and dial it back a little bit. So if there's one thing that I want to share in this podcast, is that I think simplicity can be valuable.
Agreed. And also, I don't really think people are like, when you're doing those big paragraphs, when you're like, I won the Best Home Improvement Company Award in 2019, and this other award thing you've never heard of, we're number one there. And it's like, okay, is that going to make my kitchen better? Like, I don't know. I think you're completely on the mark there. So thank you again for joining in on our podcast. And that's going to be it for us today. So whether you love or hate what we talked about, we do want to hear from you. And we're going to be putting the information in the description for Expo Home. And so whether you want to join in on our podcast, or if you want to just chat with us about one of the topics that we've covered, you can message us at hello@channelautomation.com. Or if you want to book a meeting with us and talk about how you can improve your own marketing campaigns, you can also sign up to meet our team at www.channelautomation.com. And, we're open for communication. So shoot us a comment, shoot us an email, give us a call, anything that you like. And as always, make sure to keep your lead conversion high.